2, 1.
Hello everybody and welcome to Against the Fence. This is your UFC 270 Aftermath show where we'll be recapping the events of Saturday night's main card. We'll also be taking a look at the fighter rankings from UFC.com and see how they've updated. And then lastly, we're going to be talking a lot about Francis Ngannou, that's for sure. So don't go anywhere. All right, so how are we doing then, folks? I must admit, we're going to go through all this. This is going to be a good show. Good vibes going at the moment. I've been to the gym. I don't know how you guys are feeling. I'm feeling pretty knackered. Nearly passed out of the gym, but don't worry, I'm doing fine. Let's go in then to the events of the main card then. First up, we had Michael Moraes making his UFC debut, defeating Trevin Giles via round 1 TKO. Then, of course, second up, we had Said Nurmagomedov defeating Cody Stamann via submission, and that was a guillotine choke. Then, third up, we had Michele Pereira defeating Andre Fili by unanimous decision, where all three judges scored it 29-28 in favor of the Brazilian. Then in the co-main event, we had the flyweight title fight as Deiveson Figueiredo reclaimed his flyweight belt by defeating Brandon Morono via unanimous decision, where all three judges scored it 48-47 across the board. Then, lastly, the main event, the heavyweight title fight. Francis Ngannou defeated Ciryl Gane via unanimous decision and that was his first title defense, with all two judges scoring at 48-47, one judge scoring at 49-46 in favor of the Cameroonian. All right, that was your quick recap. Now let's go into the fighter rankings then. All right, cool. Fighter rankings then. First up on the card, of course, we have Michael Moraes defeating Trevin Giles. Now, of course, there is no rankings that's been updated, really. We're just going to keep them up there and maybe perhaps reference them in a few things. Because Michael Moraes, he made his UFC debut. And, I tell you what, his performance was flawless, really. I mean, when you think about the pressure that young man had, bearing in mind he's about 22 years old, coming in from the Contender Series and just how it happened to be, get slot in to the main card first up. The pressure on your shoulders must have been insane. Not only that, you're fighting a guy in Trevin Giles who's defeated some tough competitors, right? Roman Dolidze, Ryan Spann, some of the names really to mention, but he dropped down a weight class and debuted at welterweight, and man, must admit this guy's on fire. We can't wait to see him next. He moves to 13-0. He got that sort of first round finish. And a fight where, looking back on his previous fights, you would have thought he was a bit tentative, he's a bit more patient, likes to set up his shots. We knew going into this that Trevin Giles was going to kind of push the pace and maybe get in his face a little bit. But look, he wasn't fazed by it. He got the win. And look, I'm excited to see this kid fight again, Got a few options for him. Just only two. I think, personally, I would like to see him fight the winner of Diego Lima versus Miguel Baeza. I think that fight makes sense because, coming off of the back of losses against, Baeza was coming off of losses against Ponzinibbio and Chaos Williams, and his record is 10-2. Diego Lima, on the other hand, he's coming off of a tough time. Losses against Bilal Muhammad and Matt Brown, I think it was. So he's on tough time, but relatively similar in experience. I think that would be a good test for him on the feet. Both of those guys, in fact, or either of them. So I don't know about you guys and how you would how if you would like to see those type of matchups, or if you've got one that perhaps that I haven't mentioned, feel free to get in the comment section. I need to get that up, in fact, to say hello to you guys. I don't know why I've not got there. Slightly, a little bit unprepared. But my second option then is, in fact, Jack Della Maddalena, who also fought in the same event. And he's 25 years old, okay? And he's currently 11-2 as a pro. So, you match these two together. They're roughly the same sort of point in their careers. I think it would be a solid matchup, I think that Jack, I'm not sure if I saw much of his fight, but I know he's a powerful puncher. And look, at the same time, Michael Moraes has got some sneaky power in himself. He's got he's very precise with his punches. So I think that would quite match up well. Let us know in the comments. Ash saying, sorry, couldn't make it, JK. Where's Si? Okay. Si's here. Don't worry, bro. But yeah, thanks for popping in anyhow. Don't forget to pop a like on the video as well if you think these picks are, you'd like to see these fights play out. We move on then to Trevin Giles, who's now 14-4. For me, I've got two options now, because he did make that step down to welterweight. Didn't work out first time around. Does he stick there? Does he not? That's kind of questions surrounding him at the moment. So at middleweight, I've got Dusko Todorovic, who's currently 11-2. He's coming off of a first round TKO himself of Maki Pitolo, and that was back in December. He's an explosive power puncher who isn't the biggest of middleweights, and that's the reason why I've singled him out, really. Because Trevin Giles isn't the biggest of middleweights when he was at middleweight. So that's kind of my opinion on that one. Although Todorovic, I think would give him a tough time, especially maybe on the ground, because he's so stocky. He's built like a powerhouse, to be honest. And he could cause problems for Trevin Giles. It's probably a bad fight, bad pick for him. Sorry, Trevin, but I just think that in terms of experience, those two guys match up quite well. And then my second option for Trevin at welterweight. Okay, bear with me. This would be a solid one, I reckon. Trevin Giles fighting Warlley Alves at welterweight. Let that sink in. Because both have got similar records as well. Both coming off of knockout losses. So either guy would need a point to prove. And now this could be a fight that would be probably feature on a fight night card. Maybe not a main card slot. Could be prelims. But, on these UFC fight nights, we have seen losers fight losers. We just have. We've seen them be paired up like that. Yes, Damien, mate, welcome back in, Damien. Good to see you, buddy. Good talking to you on the fan cam the other night. He says, Francis Gracie was born. Mate, he was born at the weekend. You're right. That's solid. Man, I can't wait to get into the Ngannou stuff. Stick around. We're going to be doing that in just a second. If you haven't done so already, don't forget to hit the like on the video. Let's move on then to the bantamweight division. Said Nurmagomedov, man, he looked insane against Cody Stamann. I underestimated him, I must admit. It was a quick finish. He latched onto that guillotine pretty quick. He used his spinning attacks very well. We said this before in the watch along. Myself, I picked Cody Stamann going into that fight because I thought that Cody Stamann would be able to get on the inside, land some powerful shots and potentially secure some takedowns to ride out a unanimous decision. But man, when they stepped in there, you soon noticed the height advantage for Said Nurmagomedov. Like, the guy is big, and I think personally, I'd say that Sean O'Malley is quite big for a bantamweight. He looks bigger than Sean O'Malley, personally, going in there. Man, I'm excited to see him again. Now, the options for him, he has kind of come out. I think he came out in the post-fight press conference, and he kind of mentioned one person. So that's why I've got him in there as one of my options. He roughly said that he wanted to be back sort of early April, maybe for the UFC 273 card. But at the moment, that card kind of looks a little bit stacked, in my opinion. So I think it could be a bit difficult for the UFC to plant him in there. But who would they plant him in there against? Now, he did kind of mention a name. He mentioned Marlon Vera, which ideally the timing makes sense, you know, because Vera not only not too long ago knocked out Frankie Edgar in the third round. So, and you look at those rankings, Marlon Vera's at 8 though, so it's quite a bit of a jump up. It's a difficult one. You know, I'm quite surprised he's not been put into the rankings. You know, the rankings really, the only movement is Pedro Munoz and Marlon Moraes, which is quite random. You would have thought that would have happened straight away. But he definitely needs a ranked opponent. And my second option's fairly, I think it's an interesting one for most of you guys. Let me chime in quickly for some chats then. Ash saying, as you said, Francis Meyer, yeah, I was referring to Damien's comments from the fan cam. The reversal still has me shocked, says Damien. Mate, I saw that on Twitter and mate, I couldn't stop playing it because it was slick the way he tied up Garn's legs like that and reversed him. But yeah, we'll get into that. Damien Collins says, Said gives me the beat vibes. Yeah, I definitely got that. I definitely got that from him as well. It's those spin attacks, isn't it? I can't really quite remember what he's like on the ground. Because, mate, Zabit was just so slick on the ground. Like, his like complete package of MMA was insane. I really want to see Zabit back, man. I don't know about you guys. I hope he can get cleared to fight, because I think that's pretty much what's stopping him from competing. If he can get cleared, man, oh, mate, that featherweight division would be just juicy. But yeah, but now we're talking about bantamweight, of course. The bantamweight's a beat. We could call him that. Me, that's cool. Said that. He's the bantamweight's a beat. Taylor Young, welcome in, buddy. Nice to see you, Taylor. As always. He said, I said by decision. I was very surprised. Yeah. Quick work. Which is why we kind of want to see him against a ranked opponent, right? Now, my second option, actually going back to my first option, I would like to see the Vera fight. Vera's going to be a lot physical. He's going to be strong. Those leg kicks are going to be a problem for Said. Vera would definitely need to be on his toes to stay away from the spinning attacks of Said. But the thing is the only thing that makes me think that fight won't happen is because maybe Marlon Vera's might look for a fight against Dominic Cruz, because he's just one above him. Both guys are on 2-fight win streaks. Kind of makes sense. But then, you know, is Cruz looking to aim higher? Is he going to look to maybe fight a Rob Font or a Marab? Maybe not Marab, right? So, yeah, it's open on the table. It'd be interesting to see what the UFC suggests. But my second option then for Said would actually be... Now, Ash will probably complain about this because he's always complaining about this particular person. Would be Sean O'Malley. I know Ash is probably like slamming his phone down right now. I know it, because he's like, I want to see Sean O'Malley fight a ranked opponent. And yes, I get it. But on the hindsight, Said should be in the rankings. Let's not, you know, beat around the bush here, because both guys are kind of at the same point of their careers. That's why that fight makes sense. You know, both rangy and tall for the division as well. But yeah, the only thing that I can see, that the reason why that fight would make sense, it would probably feature on a pay-per-view main card and nothing else. You know, because Sean O'Malley, they only put him in for pay-per-view cards. So maybe timing is right for Sean O'Malley to make an appearance on that 273 card. How amazing would that be? You've also got the bantamweight title fight on the line on that card. You've also got the featherweight title fight on the line on that card. There's some really, really good fights. Who knows? I don't know. I'm skeptical about it, but I'll be interested to see what you guys think of it. Let's see. So Ash kind of suggests Cody versus Frankie. Mate, you wish. But I don't think Cody's going to get a ranked opponent, to be honest. Sorry, Mal. I just can't see it. He has done before. He fought Marab, failed at that. Who else did he fight who was in the rankings? He fought someone else. Did he lose to Marlon Moraes, I think? Might have been either one of those. But let's read some comments. So Damien said versus Simon would be good. Ooh, yeah, Ricky Simon. I kind of said that in the watch along actually, but then I was like, surely we want to see Ricky Simon fight someone a bit more above, you know, like a Pedro Munoz perhaps. Same kind of styles make fights, but yeah, I can see that would be really good. But both for both guys, it's a big test for both guys. But then he also says would be good. I don't see a huge jump. Marlon won't go down in the ranks, I don't think. Yeah, not with... Yeah, ooh. What is it if he loses? Because he's fighting Songadong. Is Marlon Moraes. Or he's on about Marlon Vera. Oh, no, he's on about River, of course. Different Marlon. Marlon Vera. Yeah, no, you're probably right. Yeah, okay. Fair play. He says, never. Dana needs to use Sean to tell more events before he feeds him to someone like said. Yeah, I know. It would be a real difficult fight. Probably his worst test. Or what's the worst test? Marlon Vera or said? Because stylistically, you kind of want to say said, right? Because he's just long and rangy as well. You know? Whereas against Marlon Vera, yes, in that fight he had success until his leg just kind of gave way. You could argue that. It's a fair point. But yeah, no, I like your thinking. That's a good fight though, JK. So thanks, Ash. Oh yeah. Simon would eat him. Simon is a killer. Yeah, Ash is a bit of a Ricky Simon fan. Yeah, I know he is. I can feel it. But yeah, he probably wouldn't. You know, it'd be a good fight for him, nonetheless. Okay, let's move on then to Cody Stamann. I've only got one pick for this guy. You know, I'd spend a lot of time sourcing these out. You know, I kind of just flick back and forth through Wikipedia and go, which fight would make sense? You know, and just match up previous opponents and things like that. So there's a lot of work that goes into it. This one I think kind of makes sense. And yeah, no, I've not just been pulling these out because they're fighting on the same card. Like, you know, you're not looking into it too far because they're on the same card. But it's more or less for timing reasons, you know? My option for Cody Stamann is Victor Henry, who just beat Ronnie Barcelos this past weekend. You know, both guys like to kind of get in your face and throw down. So that's another reason why I've matched them up. You know, it would be exciting for all of us. We kind of caught that fight in the preparation of setting up for the watch along. That was last in the prelims. And yeah, Victor Henry, man, he kind of impressed us against Ronnie Barcelos. Definitely want to see him maybe fight someone like Cody Stamann. You know, who's a bit of a rut at the moment. Really, isn't he? Okay, so yeah, that's it then for the bantamweight division. Okay, a couple more chats before we move on. Damien says OMalley gives everyone problems, especially in the first round. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, he's very, you know, his output is quite insane in the first round, and yeah, I think I don't know, stylistically I like said versus OMalley. I just really do. You know, it's you know, the question you got to give is, does the UFC want to give Sean OMalley anyone ranked above him at this stage? We've kind of complained in the past about him kind of getting babied a little bit, but you know, said wouldn't exactly be a baby fight, really, would it? I know. Let's be honest. You know, guy's a killer. You know, but he did lose against Ronnie Barcelos. Funnily enough, you know, he got outworked by Ronnie. So yeah, it all swings roundabouts to the bantamweight division. Ash basically agrees with us. Said, yeah, that's true. Definitely dangerous first round. Bruce Bob Trotter, welcome in, buddy. Nice to see you joining us. We kind of missed you at the tail end of the pay-per-view event. Normally, you know, you like to tune in just at the end and get a few questions in, and your questions are always on point, my man. Like, keep them coming. Yeah, we're always excited to see you at the back end of events. Of course, we want to get you to maybe tune in a little bit earlier. Would be nice, and hang out with everyone else. But, you know, that's fine. You know, you're the late coming to the party. No worries if you got to wake up early and you got to sleep, whatever. He says, Filau only got paid $12K to put his life on the line. That's fucked up. Oh, okay. Big conversations about fighter pay at the moment. We're going to get into a little bit of that in a sec. But yeah, I mean, UFC debut, $12K. Is it a bit short? Maybe. Okay, I get you. Damien says, I just want to see OMalley in a in a 5-rounder. Okay. How different would he fight? Yeah, that would be an ultimate test. I just don't know if we're ready to see him in a 5-rounder. It's whether or not the UFC keep him on for pay-per-view main cards. I'd like to see him headline a fight night. I would. I think he probably would when he reaches, I want to say, well, top 5. Anywhere outside of that, you can't really see anyone headlining events. Otherwise, Dominic Cruz would have done one already. Yeah. If he reaches top 5, yeah, I can see it. Taylor Wrong, said, I'd pick said to beat OMalley. He'd remain undefeated, though. I'd pick said to beat OMalley. He'd remain undefeated, though. I'm not sure what you're referring to. Both guys have got losses. Said lost to Ronnie Barcelos, and obviously OMalley lost to Marlon Vera. But okay, nonetheless, guys, let's move on to the next fight. Let's move on to the third fight of the main cards, which was Michele Pereira. Now, obviously beat Andre Fili, which was just mentioned a second ago. Hats off to Fili, man, for sticking with it against Pereira. You know, he just kept coming forward. But Pereira was just so sneaky, just staying on the outside and just kind of picking Fili apart. But Fili had some success when Pereira started to slow down in that second round. You know, we had it 1-1 going into the third round. He made it an entertaining fight. So definitely want to see Andre Fili stick around in the UFC, that's for sure. But nonetheless, Michele Pereira moves on to a 4-fight win streak now. And looking impressive. So he's got to be fighting up. Now, the first fight I've got option for him is the fight that he was originally meant to have, which was going to be at the Calvin Kattar versus Chikadze card. But Muslim Salikhov, that's the guy. He pulled out for undisclosed reasons, so we're not sure what's happened with him. He's currently ranked in number 15. So, Michele Pereira has racked up some solid wins. I think he's ready for a ranked guy. Let's give him a ranked guy again, Okay, he didn't completely wipe out the newcomer or beat him decisively across 3 rounds. But, I think, rebook it. Might as well rebook it, in my opinion. Let's see. So Damien's saying, okay, we'll go back to your comment for referring that. Surely he will have to headline a fight night within the next 3 fights because he's usually quite tired by the third. Yeah. Okay. Build him up a few more fights. Conor McGregor rose up quickly. I don't know why they're kind of keeping OMalley down a little bit. Probably just where they're at in careers in comparison, I guess. But nice point. Taylor saying mentally undefeated. Sugar keeps saying it. Okay, yeah. Oh, okay, I see what you mean. Yeah, sorry, I'm a bit slow there. Yeah, the whole t-shirt thing. Got you. I'm with you. No way 9 out of 12 fighters on the main card was unranked. Yeah. Or 8. Yeah. We'll get into that a little bit later. I think there's reasons behind it. Money reasons for Francis Ngannou. That's all I'm saying. Ashley and Ponzinibbio then for Michele Pereira. I like that idea. Ponzinibbio is coming off of a loss, is he not? I believe. Yes, to Jeff Neal. Good shout. I don't know why I've not thought of that. If Muslim Salikhov's not available, then yeah. Both guys look alike as well. Like you'd mistaken them as brothers. But I don't know if, one's from Brazil, one's from Argentina. Are they friends? I don't know if they are. I know they look alike and they look like brothers, but nonetheless, I think it would be a good fight. Personally, I think I'd urge it Ponzinibbio. I don't know, but then Ponzinibbio is coming to the back end of his career, surely. He's quite old. Maybe Michele Pereira could piece him up. Oh, okay. But yeah, good pick, Ash. I like that one. My other option then is Randy Brown. Okay, size big brother. He's on a 2-fight win streak himself. From Jamaica himself, yeah, indeed. So I was laughing in the background here. I'd like to see that fight. However, I don't think the timing is right, really. You know, stylistically, I think it's a fun one. Both guys are very rangy in themselves. I think Randy Brown would probably maintain center of the octagon and perhaps push the pace, use his kicks a lot to get Pereira up against the cage and then maybe rough him up from there. Maybe look for a trip. But yeah, I just don't think the timing would kind of suit it. Randy Brown fought quite a while ago now against Jared Gooden. So maybe perhaps the UFC might look to pair him up pretty soon. And I'd imagine that Randy Brown, if that is the case, he'd fight maybe someone like an Alex Morono. You know, he's on a bit of a tear at the moment. Couple of fight win streak. I want to see, you know, I really like Randy Brown, man. He's difficult. He's big for welterweight. And I think a test like Alex Morono for him would be really good, seeing as though Alex Morono has got some back-to-back solid wins. You know, Donald Cerrone being one of them, of course. Yeah, that's kind of my opinion. So it's I don't know how you guys feel about those options. You know, as I say, that Randy Brown one is a little bit 50-50. But, you know, I like it just for style reasons. Let's see. Damien says Lee is ready for a fight. He didn't receive any damage against Hamzat. That's a very good point. Yeah. Yeah, Li Jingliang likes to crack as well. He's got some power. I would think... Yeah, I just think gas tank wise, Lee's got quite a good gas tank. I think Pereira would probably have to get him out early. I could see if they were to pair it up, I could probably see perhaps Pereira winning the first round and then, you know, Zhang Lang maybe taking over and in rounds 2 and 3 by just kind of stepping up a gear a little bit when Pereira is a little bit gassed from spinning and rolling around the canvas for 5 minutes straight. So, you know, yeah, I'd probably go Lee for that one, in my opinion. But yeah, no, solid idea, Damien. Love that. Let's move on then to Andre Filau, the newcomer in the UFC. I've got Dwight Grant for him. Now, he's 11-4. He's come off a split decision loss against Francisco Trinaldo. So I think that would be quite a good one for him. Or, I mean, it's difficult to call. I mean, what do you guys reckon? I haven't got a second one, but I personally would like to see him maybe fight someone with experience, but is kind of on a bit of a tough run at the moment. You know, maybe at welterweight. Do you know what? Him against Robbie Lawler would be fire. You know, Robbie Lawler. When you think about Robbie Lawler, he's had some tough fights himself against like the likes of Neil Magny. He is coming off a win against Nick Diaz, but you know, he looked okay in that. He didn't exactly blow your hair back against Nick Diaz, who's been out of the game for so long. So, but again, I don't know. Second fight in against Robbie Lawler probably wouldn't make sense, would it? But yeah, no. Stylistically, the fact that both of them are going to stand and trade and bang. You know, you could say that Filau's like a Portuguese Robbie Lawler in some sort of ways. You know, he's got a bit of wrestling to him as well. He likes to hit hard, likes to get in the pocket. You know, what do you guys reckon? What do you guys reckon before I move on? But yeah, those are my options for Filau. Again, I'd like to see him stick around. Damien says, let's be real, he was going easy on Nick. Yeah, maybe he was pulling a little bit. Yeah, I mean, well, I guess so. If you did look at Nick Diaz in the shape he's in, you probably would go easy on him. You know, we was expecting Nick Diaz, that was an absolute killer, but yeah, slightly out of shape for whatever reason. Okay, fair enough. All right. Okay, let's now move on then from this fight. Let's go into the co-main event. The flyweight division. Davison Figueiredo. Myself and Ash picked him. He came strong. Decision though, not what we thought. I know we went wild and went for a TKO against the Mexican. Okay, bit bold. I get it. Don't know, man. Just had a gut feeling. Didn't work out though. But nonetheless, you know, Deiveson Figueiredo didn't land the most out of the two fighters, right? But he secured 2 takedowns and 3 knockdowns and had the highest significant strike percentage. You know, I think I scored it. I think I scored it 2-2 going into round 5. I thought it was a bit of a toss-up in round 5. You know, he got the knockdown in round 5, which just got him over the edge, really, in that round, I felt, because Morono had him down early on. If he hadn't got that knockdown, could have gone Morono's way, in my opinion. Very close fight. You know, very, very close fight. My opinion, now let's go into potential matchups. 4 fight, do we want to see it? Should there be a 4 fight, guys? What are your opinions? You know? I'm on the fence about it, I must admit. Part of me wants to see it straight away, part of me doesn't. Part of me wants to move on a little bit and then maybe do it later on down the line, which really probably makes the most sense, okay? Obviously, you got to hope that both guys keep winning so then you can match them up. But say if they do, you know? Say if they do keep winning and then they get paired up again for the 4th time, that 4th fight just feels even more bigger, you know? If you let time do its work a little bit. And the reason why I say that is because John Anik said something quite interesting, actually, post-fight. You know, he said that he felt the 4th fight between these guys should be a headlined event. If you're going to make it a headline event, you're not going to do it straight away. I don't think the UFC would do it. So I think you need to build up the narrative again. You know, you give Morono some guys. Okay, I got an option. We'll do Morono first as we're on the conversation about it. I think, you know, I felt it was probably like a Pantoja rematch. Get that win back. That would be huge. You know, but then it depends on the circumstances for Figueiredo. You know, on the other hand, you know, Figueiredo could fight Askarov if Askarov was to beat Kai Kara France. You know, for Askarov, it could be difficult to keep Figueiredo down in that fight. You know, I think Figueiredo will obviously want to keep that fight standing, nonetheless. You know, and I think that he can perhaps light Askarov up on the feet if that is the case. You know, but Figgy's gonna, you know, see, that's the thing. Figgy's gonna be so difficult in the scrambles in that fight. That's what makes that fight so interesting. Plus, you've got Askarov, who's undefeated. You know, that fight's insane. It would definitely be like a co-main for sure. I mean, let's be honest. The UFC don't normally like to put flyweights as headline pay-per-views. Okay, it's happened before as like, you know, last option, no other option kind of type thing. Let's see what guys say in the chats real quick. I've been neglecting you. Sorry. I must apologise. So yeah, Damien referring to Nick Diaz. I've already read that. He's basically sparring him and then said 3 round is go time. Okay, yeah. True. Ash says he wants to see a 4 fight. He says we're gonna see a 4 fight. Yeah, we will. We will. Damien says with 3 knockdowns in separate rounds, I can't give it to Moreno. Yeah. No, absolutely. I say that 3rd one in the last round was crucial. I want to see Figgy defend versus someone new before the 4th fight. Yeah. Me too, really. Size Basic tuning in saying, I agree. I think 4th fight, but not straight away. They both need wins elsewhere. Yep. So I agrees as well. Everyone's agreeing. Love that. Ash saying Askarov for me if he wins the next fight. Yep, so that's basically what I said. Damien says Morono versus Pan, Figgy versus winner of Francis and Askarov. Yeah, I'm referring to. Yeah, cool. I think that sounds great. Obviously, on the other hand, for Figueiredo. If Askarov was to lose and Kai France was to get the upset, Kai France is in at number 6. That would propel him to number 2. Wait, is he got? Isn't he lost to Pantoja? Let me get this up. I'm gonna get this up. Someone, if you've already know it, pop it in the chat, because it's a very interesting thing to think about. Because most of these guys in the top half have all fought himself. Yeah, we know he's definitely got a Bueno Morono, but yeah, no, he hasn't fought Kai France. So, yeah, what would he overtake Pantoja? Surely not with a win streak, right? I don't know. I'll put my hat back on. Yeah, maybe he could overtake Pantoja, or Pantoja would move up to second. Which case you do Pantoja rematch against Figueiredo. You know, they last fought in 2019. It's some time ago. Figgy picked up the unanimous decision. Or would you actually give the fight to Kai France? Beating former bantamweight champion, and then a guy who's undefeated, a Russian dude who's going to wrestle the fuck out of you for 3 rounds most likely. I guess that kind of would make sense. I don't know. I don't want to undermine Kai France. It's just the fact that, you know, we saw him lose against Brandon Royval not too long ago. You know? I don't know. What are you guys saying? Damien says, my knowledge on flyweight isn't the strongest. Yeah, me too, buddy. Me too. You know, I mean, the flyweights have been underlooked for years, but to be fair, since Demetrius Johnson and Henry Cejudo stepped away, it's been popping. It's been popping. You know, I think it's been an exciting division. Much more exciting, especially since the DJ days. Yeah, another one for then Morono then, of course, if Pantoja was to get that fight, I guess you'd probably do Alex Perez, the winner of Alex Perez against Matt Schnell, maybe. Or, yeah, that's probably the only option. Or, of course, Pantoja rematch if Kai France gets it. Man, this flyweight division makes your brain numb. 100%. You know, and I said to the guys when we did our champion predictions video, I said that flyweight's the hardest. Flyweight's the hardest to call almost. You know, we could see some changes this year in that division. But yeah, okay, yeah, that's my feelings on that. If the rematch happens with Morono and Pantoja, I think that'd be really exciting. Pantoja looks really good at the moment though. Could get another win against him. You know, but then you'd think Morono would probably step it up the next time around, this next fight. Take a break from Figueiredo, get another fight, start fresh. Because I mean, admittedly, he looked good in moments in that fight. I just think, I don't know. I think we was expecting a bit more swagger from him. You know, he definitely looked it walking out. He had a bit of a swagger in the press conference. As soon as that cage door closed, I don't know, didn't quite utilize his jab as often as what I thought he would, you know? Didn't have the same level of confidence, personally, but, you know, we'll go back. Damien says, I don't see any beating Figgy anytime soon. Wow. Yeah, I mean, I want to see that Askarov fight. I think that's the most intriguing one, you know? Yeah, I think that will get bums in seats and eyes on it. All right, okay, let's move on then to the juicy division. Let's go on. Let's wrap this. Let's be quick on this one. This is going to be a quick one. Heavyweight division. Francis Ngannou looked insane. He turned into, as Damien said, he turned into heavyweight Damian Maia. And, you know, suddenly, randomly got his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt in that fight. His knees were jacked up. He did what he had to do to survive. He lost the first 2 rounds, in my opinion. Got takedowns and just used his physicality against Gane and just drained him. And he even said post-fight, he said, I saw him come out in the 3rd round and I saw myself, you know, in that first Stipe fight. You know, but I'm sure Cyril Gane will bounce back like no other. and you'll get back to wins because obviously I'm a Ciryl Gane fan. But Francis Ngannou, for what's next for him, it's a little bit up in the air, and I guess we're going to be kind of getting into that in a sec with some social segments. It's difficult to call. It's a hard one to call. We just don't know. It's business first for this one before we can talk about anything else. If he was to re-sign, if he was to re-sign, it's got to be Jon Jones, right? Or Stipe rematch. Personally, I want to see Stipe get another crack. Makes sense for a third fight. But look, I really can't see him signing a new deal. In which case, it would be a Tyson Fury or, as Damien said, a Dillian Whyte. You know? Elsewhere, get the money. Makes sense. That's my 5 cents on that option. Damien says Francis is going to be out for a while, I think. So Jones versus Stipe. Yeah, he's going to be out for a long time regardless, to be fair, because he's got ACL, MCL surgeries to go through. So yeah, that's another reason why this is a difficult one to call. There's going to be probably a lot of movements going around. Wouldn't it be funny, right? Wouldn't it be now's the right time to do an interim title fight, guys? It's the right time, the proper time to do it. What are we gonna do? Okay, personally, I think Stipe versus Jon Jones for an interim title makes sense. Gunn had his crack. Let's give it that way. You can't just go back and say, "Oh, Ciryl Gane's the interim title holder again," and let's make him defend it or win it again. Whatever, we can't do that. What's for next for Ciryl Gane? Most and foremost, okay. Of course, he might want to put himself forward for a title fight if Francis does vacate. Arguably, but if that was the case, it would be against Stipe, but only if the UFC don't sort anything out with Jon Jones. Jon Jones is out of the equation again, as always. Then yeah, you do Gane versus Stipe. The worst matchup for Gane, I think we said it at the weekend, would be Curtis Blades. Don't want to see that fight. I'd rather Ciryl Gane take some time off, work on wrestling. Maybe if you can move to the US permanently. I can't see it though. I think he's pretty much married at his camp at the moment in France. I can't see him doing that to his guys, unless everyone moves over to US, of course. But look, he needs to work on his wrestling. Seen it now. Jon Jones would be a horrible fight for him. But we're going to get into it in a bit. Chats are popping. Taylor saying Jones versus Stipe for the interim due to Ngannou knee. Yep. Dana will make the interim each chance he gets. Absolutely right. Sai loves an interim belt, says Ash. Of course he does. Any excuse to get an interim belt. Damien says Gane versus Aspinall if he beats Volk. Ooh, that would be good because that puts me into the top 5. I like that. Ash said he wanted Gane versus Aspinall towards the end of the year. And look, he did say for the belt, admittedly, and then went back on the idea, of course, because he picked Francis Ngannou at the weekend. Strangely enough. But Gane versus Rosenstreich, that's already been done, mate. Done that. Saw that last year. Don't want to see that again. Damien says Aspinall will go 5th. Yeah, absolutely. Ash saying no, hang on. He beat him. Yeah, well done Ash for realising. Gane Lewis 2, says Taylor. Not excited about watching it just yet. See how it plays out. Would have to be a 3-rounder. Derek Lewis doesn't like 5 rounds. He's against 3 rounds. Or, of course, Taito Avosa if he happens to get the upset against Derek Lewis. I think it'll be an easy fight for Ciryl Gane, to be honest. I would love that fight as a Ciryl Gane fan. Not going to lie. No disrespect to Taito Avosa, of course. He likes getting people's faces and bang, but technical striker here. Technical striker in Ciryl Gane. Couldn't see him get the upset. So yeah, they're my options for Ciryl Gane. One last chat. Damien says, to be honest, Francis just has the division on halt at the moment. Yeah. Okay, well, we're going to go into some social segments now. There's a lot to talk about in terms of Francis Ngannou, okay? There's a few topics on him. So let's go into it, shall we? I'll be there in a sec. So, where am I? There we go. There he is. There he is. All right, cool. So, the first one then we're going to be talking about is, of course, Jon Jones piping up as always, because that's what he does, right? You know, especially in heavyweight fights, we've seen it numerous times now. Mate, he comes in, he says, at the end of the day, I'm fucking them both up. And look, to be honest, after that performance, even for both guys, I almost kind of agree with him, you know? I've got to agree with him. You know, after seeing that performance, it'd be obviously to say that Ngannou would probably give him his toughest test, right? Beforehand, it was gone, in my opinion, because he's a technical striker, he's very physical himself. But after seeing the wrestling display, because going into this fight, we didn't see a lot from Ciryl Gane. There was not a lot of weaknesses, we could say. After seeing this fight, we definitely saw that weakness. So, and what's Jon Jones really, really good at? The wrestling. So, for me, that's why I would say Francis Ngannou would be the worst matchup for Jon Jones. Because, right? Yeah, okay, we've seen Stipe Ngannou won. Stipe took him down. Did exactly what Jon Jones would do, right? But Ngannou's a big guy. Very physical, very strong. Jon would have to gas him out early. Jon would have to do... Jon's fight IQ is really good, you know? I would imagine that Jon would piece him apart on the feet. He would avoid the big strikes. Go to work on that leg earlier, like he always does. Then go for takedowns and tire Ngannou out that way. But Ngannou's got jiu-jitsu now. Could he hang in there against Jon Jones? I don't know. I still think Jon Jones can submit Francis Ngannou, and I think it would be most likely like a head and arm choke. You know, horrible fight. I think, you know, at the same time, well, I guess Francis Ngannou's power is always there. Can Jon avoid it? Again, Jon's got some good fight IQ. Jon is licking his lips after this fight, that's for sure. There's no doubt about it. Let's catch up with these guys. Damien says John Dennis at this point. I think Dylan, is that a reference to Dylan Dennis? John Dennis is in jiu-jitsu. Yeah. Jon will get the fight but get arrested before it happening, says Taylor. Yeah. I mean, that's why it's always up in the air, isn't it? I don't know. You know? Likely. Damien says Jon's fights are reach-based. He uses his reach to keep range, but Francis's reach is nearly the same as his. That's a very good point, Damien. That's a very, very good point. Jon, you know, against every other light heavyweight, was so good at utilising that reach. And then he was matched up against Alexander Gustafsson the first time, which woke him up. Yeah, okay, he didn't take that fight seriously. He was doing coke the week before and whatever. But look, you know, we saw that he wasn't able to do that. And in his most recent fights, he struggled to maintain that kind of distance and pick his opponents apart. Very good point. Francis is going to lay hands. But look, you know, it depends on, you know, how much Jon weighs in, really. There was talks that Jon was looking to get up to 270 pounds. That would be very smart of him. Very smart, okay? Not so smart in terms of speed, because Jon's really good, really quick on his feet, right? You expect him to want to be quick on his feet. But we saw how Izzy fared against Jan when Izzy decided to come in light. Jon, against these physical guys, you know, it's smart of him to want to match Francis Ngannou, because apparently Francis was around 270 on fight night anyway. You know? I think it would be a good move, personally, just for the grappling aspects of it. He knows that he could probably outskill Francis on the ground, jiu-jitsu-wise, but, you know, it's getting him down and it's keeping him down. That's the only option. Okay, let's move on to the next option then. So, the next one is come from MMA Fighting. It's a quote from yesterday. Francis Ngannou says, even when the UFC tried to reach out with a deal, They came out with a good amount of money. I'm like, at this point, that doesn't matter. I've been leaving a lot of money on the table, even since the Stipe Miocic fight. By now, I might be down at least 7 million. Now, this was quite confusing at first, reading this, because it didn't really make sense. It was like, what? So you've lost 7 million, or you know, what do you mean by that? But in the end, it was, he meant by the contract that the UFC had put on the table for him, okay, which would have been 7 million, right? But that's all we know. But I've broken it down number-wise for you guys, and just to give you a bit of color on it, or what that actually means, okay? So $7 million, okay? You got to ask yourself, how many fights is that in that contract, okay? So I've done the maths. If you were to say that was a 10-fight contract, okay, that would be 10 fights at $700K per fight. Now, of course, there's 2 fights per year, realistically, for champions. Normally, the odd, lucky fighter has gone in and done 3, like Usman last year, of course. Insane, but let's put it down to 2, because it's, the majority of the time. So that's 5 years. That's a 5-year contract that UFC wanted to tie him down for. 10 fights. Now, that's not including injuries. You get injured during that time, that 5 years suddenly becomes 6. You get another injury, there's 7, maybe 8 years. And, this is very reminiscent of the time when the UFC decided to offer Anderson Silva a 10-fight contract. Like when he was at his peak. Because it tied him completely down. By the end, he was like, late 30s. It's a similar round age to Ngannou. And you found that in the latter part of Anderson Silva's career with the UFC, he was just taking fights for the sake of it, just to get out of the contract, which was smart of him. But, we knew he was completely past his prime. And it is smart from Francis to kind of, not go for it, really. Wow, okay, big chats. Damien says, I think Francis will be too strong. Not more technical sound in the DC rematch. DC was winning round 1 and 2 by being physical. If Francis is physical with anyone, they lose. Good point. And plus, DC's not exactly like the hardest of hitters at heavyweight, was he? He was very a gritty, in-your-face fighter, put combinations, work to the body. And mixing, chaining takedowns if possible. That's an interesting point, very interesting point. So to definitely remember that if the fight happens down the line. He also says, I think Francis will be too strong, not more technical. Oh no, I've already read that. Sorry, I've reading another one. Taylor Young saying, because we haven't seen John at heavyweight. And because he didn't look great in some of his last fights, it's a lot closer than I would have said a few years ago. Yeah, that's another good point as well. You've not looked great in the previous light heavyweight fights. You're now going up against a weight class against huge competitors. But then at the same time, you had Santos, pretty good on the ground. Not a lot of these heavyweights are good jiu-jitsu wise. Tom Aspinall's got pretty good jiu-jitsu, must admit. Ngannou's looking great jiu-jitsu wise as a recent. But when you look at the division, there's not many big jiu-jitsu players. So I think he has an edge in that field against most of them. But yeah, you're right. On the feet, it gets a bit dicey. Damien says, when Jones passes a drug test, he's human. Francis will be too strong for him, in my opinion. Okay. Pictogram says Taylor Young. Yes, JK, breaking it down, says Ash. Yeah. Pretty sure Silva was well in his 30s when he joined the UFC, says Damien. I'm not quite sure, actually. It might be, late 20s, definitely Early 30s, because he was, he'd done a lot of fights for in Pride, in Cage Rage and things like that before he made his UFC debut. Yeah, true. So, okay, let's go back to then the numbers then for this, okay? Because I want to put something out to you. Yes, it is kind of unfair from the UFC standpoint, but then on the other hand, the question is Francis Ngannou, is he worth more? Is he really worth more than what he's getting paid? Got some numbers for you, okay, in terms of gauging popularity, all right? This doesn't necessarily mean too much. It kind of means a little bit in terms of how you bargain with the UFC, or how you would want to bargain with the UFC. I've got here Instagram followers for Francis Ngannou, 3.6 million. Tyson Fury, he's got 5.4 million. Jake Paul, as an example, 18.6 million. Okay, so numbers are fairly close. Twitter followers, 658,000 for Francis Ngannou. Tyson Fury, 2 million. Jake Paul, 4.1 million. Facebook followers, Francis Ngannou, 1.1 million. Tyson Fury, 1.9 million. Closer. Jake Paul, 5.8 million. So, number-wise, the numbers aren't too different, really, are they? Yet, Tyson Fury is getting, 30 million a fight against Deontay Wilder. But on the other hand, Deontay Wilder's quite a big name in boxing anyway. So, big name. That elevates the stock. True. So, yeah. You can see why Francis would want to get these big kind of names, right? The only big name in the heavyweight division would be John Jones. Let's face it. But he's not getting Tyson Fury money, and he probably wouldn't get Jake Paul kind of money. Now, the other thing I want to leave you on with this is Fury versus Wilder 3 generated 600,000 buys in the US, 600,000 buys in the US, 300,000 buys overseas, so 900 overall. Big pay-per-view. Now, I did want to bring you guys the numbers for UFC 260 Stipe versus Ngannou, but I couldn't find them anywhere. But I can tell you they're probably not anywhere near that. I think it probably would be about 400,000. Again, is he worth it? Is he worth it? Right. Okay, let's move on. We got a lot to go through. So that's Broken Native. He says only Jones will defeat Ngannou. Oh, okay. Interesting thought. Damien says, yes, Francis is worth more. He's the baddest man on the planet. The heavyweight champ is in the combat sports world a lot. I mean, yeah, but then my other argument is the UFC doing enough to push these people? That's the main argument. And that's what fighters need to be asking. Okay, I could be here all night talking about fight pay. I really want to save this topic because we got some ideas on the channel we might look at doing. We might do like a panel discussion. I would like to save that conversation for you guys where we can sit down face to face. You can be on camera with us and we can go back and forth with it on that way. Okay, last point of the socials segment. The last headline will go for a quick one. Obviously, Francis didn't get the belt put around him by Dana White. Okay, now and he skipped the press conference. Now take it how as it is. I've seen a lot of hate towards Dana White. Everyone's calling him a coward and things like that. It's easy to jump the gun. We don't know what the circumstances is. He's going to do an interview with ESPN pretty soon. But let's see how that plays out. Let's see what his real reason for missing that thing. Personally, I think he just he skipped it and called an emergency meeting. But then at the same time, you also had matey boy Maynard in there putting the belt around him. And if he would have been a part of that emergency meeting. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm interested to find out, what it is. But, nonetheless, it doesn't look good. Francis is mistreated. Okay? That's my opinion on that. Okay, let's move on from that then. The last one. This is the very last one. It'll be quick on this one. Conor McGregor tipped to make UFC return in the summer by Dana White, who says the Irishman is doing all the right things following horror leg break against Dustin Poirier last year. Conor broke his leg against Dustin Poirier to UFC 264. Dana White has revealed the Irishman could be back in the cage with someone. That's all the same. Why do they repurpose that? UFC, that's the big point though. UFC 276, which will take place in Las Vegas on July 2nd. We know they're always likely to do big events around July. You know, that 4th of July weekend is big for the UFC. Previously, around that weekend, we have UFC 200. You got to think, what could it be? You know, it says at the bottom, a showdown between lightweight champion Charles Oliveira has been mooted. I don't know. I think he's going to get Gaethje. I think we're going to see Nate Diaz versus Conor McGregor in July. I think that's what it's going to be, because Dana's putting his cards very close to his chest. Because, you know, we've seen Nate Diaz complain about the Dustin Poirier fight. They wanted to fight each other, but Dana doesn't seem interested in it. Why would you not be interested in it? Especially when fans are actually calling for it. Last fight on his contract as well. Nate Diaz. Got to do the Conor fight. It's got to be the Conor McGregor fight. What do you guys think? Let's see. Taylor Wong saying Francis wrestles Fury to a decision. He's all of a sudden good at doing that to great strikers. Yeah. Dana not putting the belt on the very disrespectful, in my opinion, says Damien. It's very suspicious. Francis deserves more respect. Agreed. Taylor, regardless of what reason, was just didn't look good from Dana. No, it wasn't professional at all. Taylor saying he hates Conor. I think Tony is likely for him or Nate. I think it'd be Nate first, if anything. I think maybe Tony would get Chandler. The only fight that will make sense, as Damien, is Diaz. I don't see Conor fighting lightweight contenders anymore. Nah, I think it's past it. You can't on his recent form. You just can't. Okay, tops chats, guys. You guys have been insane, keeping me busy and motivated throughout this whole hour. We've been going for an hour. I can't believe we've all gone for an hour. It's been insane. But thanks for joining it in. If you haven't done so already, do stick a like on the video. And if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, because we do all kinds of UFC related content and we want to do more. Please hit that subscribe button, okay? And, you know, we've got all kinds of content to come, so do stay tuned for that. All right, I'm JK. This was your UFC 270 Aftermath show. We'll see you next time. Take care.